Podcast Network Asia. First Metrosec is providing this podcast as a general market commentary. Reference to any specific security, product, or entity do not constitute as an offer or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any financial instruments or to participate in any particular trading strategy. The statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed by the hosts are subject to change without notice, and First Metrosec is under no obligation to update, amend, change, or correct any of the statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed. The statements, comments, views, and opinions expressed by the guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the view of First Metrosec. First Metrosec disclaims any liability arising from reliance on or reference to any information obtained in this podcast.
You are listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly Podcast, where we feature timely and relevant discussions on the Philippine stock market and the economy in the hope of providing you investing and trading guidance. Here's your host.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the FundSmart Learning Series podcast. I'm JP Billones, your guide to the world of investing here at First Metro Securities. I'm both a market educator and the business development section head for Mindanao. So I'm passionate about helping Filipinos navigate the financial markets. At First Metro Securities, we believe knowledge is power. That's why we're all about making investing accessible and easy to understand, especially if you're just starting out. We want to equip you with the tools and strategies you need to make informed investment decisions, and in order for you to reach your financial goals. So whether you're a seasoned investor or a complete beginner, this podcast is for you. We'll cover everything from the basics of investment funds to actionable tips for building a resilient portfolio. Joining us today as our esteemed guest speaker is the one and only Mr. Zedric Matubis. He is the head of wealth sales of Manulife Investment Management Philippines. He is responsible for building a strong wholesale and product specialist team to support key strategic distribution partners and channels. He has more than 20 years of experience in retail banking and wealth management. Mr. Matubis is a chartered wealth manager, a registered financial planner, a SEC certified fixed income salesman, and a SEC certified investment solicitor. So grab your headphones, get ready to learn, and let's embark on this investment adventure together. We'll be dropping valuable insights and actionable strategies throughout each episode. So get your notepads ready and prepare to become an empowered investor. Hello, Sir Zed. How are you doing these days?
I'm fine, JP. Thank you.
Happy to hear that, Sir Zed. Hope everything is in order. And I'd like to welcome you again, Sir Zed, to this podcast episode with our FundSmart Learning Series. Now, let's start things off. Can you tell us a bit about your journey in the world of investments and what led you to work for a company that offers investment management services?
How much time do you have, JP? But seriously, it was not a straightforward story, but I did start my career in a related field, which is branch banking. This eventually led me to handle relationships with valued clients and managing their wealth management needs, which eventually led me to become more interested in investments. I then moved to an asset management company that sold mutual funds. And then finally, I am where I am right now, working for a trust corporation, which provides investment management services and manufactures investment products like UITFs.
It's a great story within the financial services sector, Sir Zed. And thank you for sharing that. That tells our audience really the breadth of knowledge with your experience and expertise when it comes to investment management. Now, from your experience, Sir Zed, what are some misconceptions Filipinos have when it comes to investing in UITFs?
Yes, JP, there are many, but the most common, I believe, is that people think, or some people think, UITFs in general are only for the wealthy. And related to this misconception is the concept that investing a small amount will not amount to anything significant, therefore not do it at all. No? In fact, in a 2020 survey involving more than 4,000 participants from the US, 42% said that they do not invest because they believe they did not have enough money. So in the Philippines, these are the people who you will often hear say, tsaka na lang, pag malaki na, masyado pang maliit, hindi pa to magiging malaki, palakihin ko muna, parang ganon, no? So for those two misconceptions that are related to each other, the first one, which is that it's only for the wealthy, we all know that that's not true. In fact, for FMSEC users, they can easily see that UITFs usually have very low minimum requirements. For us, most of our funds only require 1,000 pesos. And then furthermore, for the second misconception related to that, which is that saving small is useless, they should remember that delaying their decision to invest to wait for a time when they have more money equates to opportunity loss. No? Finally, if anything, investing a small amount frequently actually make a difference in the long run. The second most common misconception is that UITFs are very risky. There's a few people I've heard that are allergic to UITFs because of this thinking that it is very risky. What people fail to realize is that there are many options to choose from the relatively conservative to moderate to the truly aggressive ones. There are even UITFs for people who want monthly income. So there are different funds that can fit different investors' level of comfort with risk. So for example, there are more than 20 UITFs that my company, Manulife Investment and Trust Corporation or MINTC, offer in the FundSmart platform.
I totally agree with that, Sir Zed. And even in my personal experience, I also went through that misconceptions before I started investing. And we're grateful to Manulife Investment Management for making investing very convenient and affordable. Imagine for as low as 1,000 pesos, you can now invest in the different types of funds that Manulife Investment Management offers. And with regards to one of the misconceptions that you mentioned is that UITFs are very risky. I think for newbie investors, UITFs can really be a good starting point, especially if they're just trying things out. They don't know how to find opportunities yet in the market to make the most out of their investments. UITFs can be a really good starting point, as I did when I started investing. Now,
correct.
Sir Zed, these misconceptions probably tell us that many Filipinos are not yet familiar with UITFs in the first place. To set the discussion for today, can you share to us what UITFs are and how do they really work?
Sure. Unit Investment Trust Funds or UITFs, they are part of a bigger part of a family of financial products called Collective Investment Schemes or CIS for short, or sometimes more simply, funds. So when you hear the word funds, it usually means either UITFs or mutual funds or whatever that country is offering in the form of pooled funds. No? So these instruments where people can pool their money together, come in, go out anytime, where the pooled money is managed professionally by a fund manager. These fund managers do this by buying and selling stocks and or bonds and other securities to make the value of the fund potentially grow through capital appreciation and or dividend or interest income. The people then who put their money in that fund will enjoy these incomes when they get their money back or when they withdraw or redeem. Officially, that's what we call it, redemption. Or if the fund decides to pay a dividend, because some funds do pay dividends as like some of our funds. No? So those are the ways that people who invest in UITFs or funds in general can enjoy those incomes.
Thank you for elaborating on that, Sir Zed. And based from your definition, I really think this is really good for new investors. Now, personally, Sir Zed, why do you think mutual funds or UITFs in this case of Manulife are a good starting point for Filipinos who want to invest?
Yeah, I truly believe in using funds, particularly for those who are just starting their investment journey. Investing in funds is like starting to learn riding a bike with training wheels. Remember when you were a kid, obviously when you were starting to learn how to ride a bike, you had those training wheels. No, you didn't start from two wheels immediately. No, if you did, you will have a number of accidents, which will probably scare you, and you'll probably not ride a bike anymore. No? So it's very similar to that. So if you go straight to stocks, for example, you're just starting, you're a newbie investor, and obviously you need to learn stuff like fundamental analysis and technical analysis, charting, all of these things. No, you may find it difficult at the start and then probably make a mistake or two. because you are just learning. Unfortunately, mistakes in investing can cost you money, and this can shock a rookie investor. So he may never start investing again, or he may never restart investing again because nasunog na siya. That's basically what we call that. No, yung rookie investor nasunog kaagad siya because he bought an IPO based on recommendations from friends. Tapos you did not do your homework, you did not do your analysis, and then after the IPO bagsak yung price, so nasunog ka na kaagad. No. However, if you start with funds first, no, investing in funds will have automatic supports, no, just like the training wheels, like automatic professional fund management, instant diversification, affordability, all of these things. No, these supports, quote unquote, are essential to somebody who is just learning, and this will help minimize risks, which can shock a rookie investor so early in his journey.
I love your analogy, Sir Zed, of like riding a bike, but now with training wheels. As again, you'll be the one who will be deciding which fund you'll be investing. At least right now, it's going to be professionally managed and with instant diversification. Now, let's dive into the details, Sir Zed. Can you explain the differences between mutual funds and UITFs? Because we've been hearing this in the industry, or someone actually shared to us about this. They seem to be the same, but what are really the difference between the two?
Yeah, so in the Philippine investment landscape, mutual funds and UITFs, they are very similar investment vehicles, but they have some key differences. So let's look at the key differences first. So mutual funds are managed by a professional fund manager employed by an investment company. They are regulated by the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. They are governed by the Investment Company Act. And then investors in mutual funds are issued shares. And these shares have daily valuations called net asset value per share, or NAVPS. And then mutual funds are offered by investment companies or fund management firms or licensed certified investment solicitors. UITFs, on the other hand, are offered by bank trust departments or trust corporations, just like us. They operate under the supervision of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP. Investors in UITFs are issued units of participation, which are then valued via the net asset value per unit, or NAVPU. And then they are managed by the trust department of the bank or the trust corporation, and they are distributed by certified UITF salespersons. So to summarize, while both mutual funds and UITFs offer investors the opportunity to participate in a diversified investment portfolio, the key differences lie in their management, their regulation, the entities, and the salespersons that offer them.
Thank you for clarifying that, Sir Zed. Now, Sir Zed, if I may ask, where does Manulife Investment Management, where are they categorized?
Manulife Investment Management Trust Corporation is a trust corporation. So we fall under the UITF space, where we are regulated by the BSP. And we follow the rules and regulations covering UITFs as the BSP formulated them.
Thank you for clarifying that, Sir Zed. And I think it's really important to know who the regulators of these companies are, or what these trust corporations are. Because essentially, if something happens, we know where to go to, and we know that there are really regulations in place for us to know that investors are actually protected when it comes to the different dangers out there. Now, some Filipinos, Sir Zed, might have concerns about the legalities of UITFs. Can you share or address these concerns with regards to the regulatory environment of UITFs?
Yeah, I believe those concerns should be dismissed outright. No? Mutual funds and UITFs, both of them are highly regulated by their respective regulators. So as I mentioned earlier, it's the BSP for UITFs. And every aspect of the work that a trust corporation does, no? From fund management to marketing activities, to marketing materials, to anti-money laundering practices, to compliance to existing regulations, to licensing of distributors, agents, and other sellers, etc., etc. All of these actions are covered by regulations that were put in place by the regulators or the BSP. And they are also reviewed during regular audits. No? So the purpose of these strict regulations and audit and all of the requirements obviously, ultimately, the goal is to protect investors, no? So that trust corporations will do their jobs properly, and ultimately the goal is to make sure that investors are protected, no? So definitely there shouldn't be any concern on the aspect of the funds business in terms of legalities and whether investors are protected.
Thank you for that, Sir Zed. And as I mentioned a while ago, that's the real importance of knowing who the regulators are, because the regulators actually are the ones who set the rules and regulations in order to protect investors. Now, just a small trivia before we jump into the next question, Sir Zed, that there are actually around 11% of Filipinos have experienced financial scams. But on the contrary, only 1% actually invest in stocks, bonds, 12 funds, or even UITFs. No? So there's really that disparity. And
Wow.
I believe it's very important to know all the legalities of these industries. Now, Sir Zed, talking about what Manulife Investment Management offers, no, can you share to our listeners today what are the different types of UITFs available in FundSmart? So maybe you can share some examples as well for their consideration.
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we have more than 20 funds available on the FundSmart platform, 21 to be exact. So, and we have conveniently grouped them into three groups depending on what they can do for investors. Madami kasi, so para mas madaling maintindihan, no, we group them into three. So the first group is the low volatility group, or the low volatility funds. So from the name, you can guess that these are funds with lower risk. These funds are mainly invested in bonds or fixed income securities, will have no exposure to stocks. And I can give you two examples. So our two most conservative funds we have in the platform are the Manulife Money Market Fund and the Manulife Global Money Market Fund. So the first one, it's available for peso investors. The second one is available for dollar investors. So these funds are invested in very short fixed income securities issued by government institutions and investment grade companies. As such, they have very little volatility, but can still give investors potential for decent returns. Right now, we all know that the environment is a high interest rate environment because of what happened post-COVID, and because of the rate hikes that the BSP and the US Fed are doing. No? So these funds are able to give very decent returns, close to 5% net per annum actually in the past few months. So it's starting to become popular because conservative clients are obviously going to be happy with, a decent return like that. No? So next in line is the second group. We call them the income paying group. No? So we have 5 funds in the income paying group in the FundSmart platform. They are all available for both peso and dollar investors, meaning there are 2 variants. So whether you invest peso or dollar, you will have those 5 strategies available to you. So one of the most popular income paying strategy that we have is called Manulife Global Multi-Asset Diversified Income Feeder Fund. So it's a mouthful. That's why we call it GMADI for short. No? So this fund invests in a diversified portfolio of global stocks and global bonds, and it pays out income monthly with the potential to still also give capital appreciation to investors. So, for example, for a period of 1 year, I think from March 2023 up to March 2024, this fund gave around 10% in capital appreciation and 15% in income paid out. So, for a total of 25% over a period of 1 year. So, it's a great option because it's 2 in 1. You have the capital appreciation potential, but at the same time, you get something every month already. Lastly, the third group, which we call our capital appreciation funds. These funds are the most aggressive and are for customers looking for long-term capital growth. An example is our popular Manulife Global Technology Equity Feeder Fund. It's available also for both peso and dollar clients. The fund invests in a portfolio of technology stocks and other companies expected to benefit from the development, advancement, and use of technology, including the very popular AI type of benefits that companies will get now, or artificial intelligence. So this fund has earned more than 30, even close to 40% over the period of 1 year, last year, and even up to now. So to summarize, we have 21 funds grouped into 5 low volatility funds, 5 income paying funds, and 11 capital appreciation funds. 16 of these funds are available in both peso and dollar variants.
Wow, that's a really amazing suite of funds made available by Manulife Investment Management. And it's really nice, Sir Zed, that you're able to group them into three main categories, from low volatility funds to income paying funds and even capital appreciation funds. This just goes to show that Manulife Investment Management has really different types of funds that can cater to different types of investors.
Hi, I'm Francis Kong, and this is Inspiring Excellence, a podcast that will guide you to the path of excellence and inspiration one episode at a time. Success is totally achievable, and in this podcast, I've got a lot of good stuff, and I want to share it with as many people as I can, and technology makes this possible. Ready to be the best you can ever be? Listen to Inspiring Excellence on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or other podcast streaming platforms now. Now, back to the episode.
For beginners, Sir Zed, sometimes when they look at these number of funds, they usually ask people like us, what is the best fund to invest in? So maybe just to help our listeners choose their fund or the right fund for them, can you help our listeners know how can they choose the right UITFs for their investment goals?
So that's good. I guess as a guide, the groupings that I mentioned earlier would be a rough guide on how to use this fund. So for example, for clients that are more on the conservative side, are okay with some level of decent return as long as the level of volatility is not too high, then the low volatility funds can be a good place to look at. For those who naman na gusto na may monthly income, but will also want to have some potential for capital appreciation, then they can look at the income paying funds. Lastly, for those who are, younger, more aggressive, has a long time to, as an investment horizon, matagal pa naman nila kailangan yung investment nila, and they are more aggressive, they can look at the capital appreciation funds. Of course, investors can invest in funds that crosses these lines. For example, there's nothing wrong with a person investing both in the low volatility money market fund and the capital appreciation global tech fund. Wala namang masama na gawin yun. In fact, many of our investors do that, because they like both funds. They have different, characteristics, but what they bring to the portfolio, they like it very much. So that shouldn't stop you from investing across those three groups. So you can do that.
Thank you for sharing that, Sir Zed. And yeah, I guess based from your response, it's really all about number one, your risk tolerance. No, you should know what level of risk you can take. That itself will already filter the funds that is suitable for you. And number two is really goal-based investing, wherein your investment should be dictated by your investment goals. So it's not really one, of course, all of us invest so that it can potentially grow in the future, but you need to consider first your risk appetite. And number two, if your investment goal matches with that specific time horizon. And the third question would probably be, are you okay with the expected returns of that specific investment fund? Would you agree, Sir Zed?
Agree.
Yeah. Talking about risk tolerance, Sir Zed, how do Filipinos assess their risk profile so that they can pick the right UITF for their goals?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I agree that risk tolerance is something that is very important. It's something that Filipinos can use as a guide on how to assess which funds they're going to get. So FundSmart can actually help clients do this very easily. Clients can just answer the short questionnaire that FundSmart will have available before you do any investment decisions in funds. There will be questions on your risk tolerance, investment horizon, and other factors that can help determine what UITFs will be suitable for you. So it's actually a regulatory requirement for investors to do this before they buy a UITF. And it's one of those ways that I mentioned earlier where regulation help protect investors. So this is one of those safeguards that I mentioned earlier that regulation as put out there so that investors won't be, choosing funds that are not suitable to them. So yeah, this is one way for where FundSmart can really help you make that decision.
That's really great, Sir Zed. And to our listeners out there, I guess this is one of the steps. Now, when you talk to a certain person offering investments to you, one of the green flags out there is they actually ask you this client suitability assessment or risk assessment na questionnaire for them to know what type of investor you are. And they usually ask you more questions so that they can understand you better. So that is actually quite a green flag when you are offered these types of investments. And of course, the other side of that coin is it's going to be a red flag if someone would just offer you a certain investment without even asking what's your tolerance, what's your investment goal, or your specific time horizon. So you would know if you're talking to a professional really if they do this because this is a regulatory requirement. Thank you, Sir Zed. Now, let's say a person already invested, Sir Zed. Of course, people would want it to know its liquidity because many people find it important that their investment is also liquid. Maybe can you share to our listeners today, Sir Zed, how easy is it for investors to get their money back out of UITFs compared to other investment options?
Yeah, I agree. That's very important. As an investor, you are happy when you're seeing your value or the value of investment grow. But at the same time, you might have emergencies or you might see another opportunity or you have expenses coming up. So you need to get your money back. So liquidity is very important. So for UITFs, they are very liquid because once a redemption order is given, it was required by law actually that it should be very quick that you will get your money. There are laws that a trust corporation should follow in terms of how quick we can give you money when you redeem, as I mentioned earlier. So for example, for our funds, once a redemption order is given, usually you will already know the value of your redemption proceeds by the next day. It will not move anymore. No, that's already fixed, except for the money market fund, which will give you more or less the value of your redemption by the end of the day or by the same day. No? The actual proceeds will be credited to your cash position in FMSEC, depending on the type of fund where you are invested, from 1 to 5 days. No? Depending on the fund type, like I mentioned, because if you are invested in a money market fund, it should be quicker. But if you're invested in an offshore fund, it should be a little bit longer, so closer to the 5 days. But generally, these are very short, periods of time. And, unlike buying a property, a real estate property where you have to wait for a buyer, so these are great options for people that put importance on liquidity.
Adding to what Sir Zed mentioned, if you want to know the settlement date or the time it takes for the funds to be credited to your First Metrosec account, you can just head to the FundSmart page. Then you go to research. Then when you see research, you can actually check there the settlement dates for the fund that you are actually invested in. And there you go. You'll be able to know how fast it would take for your funds to be credited to your First Metrosec account. And again, by law, this is actually required that if you decide to redeem your shares, the fund has to actually buy those shares from you at the specific net asset value per unit of that specific date, depending on the specific cut-offs of that specific fund. So there you go. Now, Sir Zed, a while ago you mentioned about one of the key selling points or one of the key factors of UITFs is you're instantly diversified. So let's talk about diversification. So how do UITFs help investors achieve diversification in their portfolios?
Yep, that is correct. Diversification is indeed one of those automatic benefit you get from investing in funds. The training wheels, as I mentioned earlier, one of the training wheels, if you like, no, because your single investment in that single UITF, for example, will be exposed or will be spread across a range of assets such as stocks, bonds, and other securities, not just one. No? So, for example, your single investment in the global tech fund, for example, your 1,000 pesos, you just invested the minimum requirement. That's going to be spread out across technically more than 90 securities in the global tech sector. So this diversification can potentially reduce the impact of any individual stock's poor performance on your overall portfolio, leading to a more balanced and potentially less volatile investment strategy.
I totally agree with that, Sir Zed. And if I may share my personal experience with this, actually, in the past 1 or 2 years, when I looked at my overall investment portfolio, one of my realizations at year end when I do my portfolio review is that it seems like I have a home country bias wherein when I look at all my investments, all of them are actually domiciled here in the Philippines. So
Yeah.
in the past few months, I've been slowly transitioning to diversify into other markets as well. So,
That's great.
syempre, hindi lang naman dito sa Pilipinas ka pwedeng kumita, but there are opportunities in the global market as well, be it in the Asia and Pacific or in the Euro area or in the US market. The good thing here is that Manulife Investment Management actually has funds that allows you to diversify to global markets.
Agree.
Now, let's talk now, Sir Zed, about performance. Of course, people here want to invest in order to let their money grow. Now, how do UITFs actually measure the performance of their specific fund? So, can you share to our audience maybe where can they access these performance metrics?
Sure. So first is when you talk about performance, so the basic is first you have to specify the period, no? So it doesn't make sense if you're comparing the 1 year performance of UITF1 with the 3 year performance of UITF2, no? So that's a useless comparison. So you have to have the same period. So periods usually are usually either year to date. When you see YTD, it means year to date. It usually means the performance of the fund starting from the calendar year January 1 up to today. So the year to date return of money market fund as of today is X%. So that means that's January 1 up to today. No? Another measure is 1 year, meaning one full calendar year, which could mean, like for example, if I say the 1 year performance of GMADI is X% as of May 31, that means that's May 31, 2023 up to May 31, 2024. And then if it's going to be 3 years, so similarly, May 31, 2021 up to May 31, 2024. So the 3 year period. And you can talk about many periods, but my recommendation is when you're comparing UITFs with other or even with mutual funds, you just have to make sure that you're comparing the same period. Now, there is another twist in the story because we do have income paying funds. So for non-income paying funds, the way to measure performance is basically just the NAV growth or the growth in the price, no? Or if you only invested once, therefore hindi ka na nagdagdag or hindi ka nagbawas, then you can also compare your present value versus your initial investment. No? So this will be your price return. And for non-income paying funds, that is your return. No? Pero for income paying funds, there is another return on type of the price return, which is how much you get when you during the year. For example, if it's a monthly income paying fund, then you will get 12 dividends during the year. No? So you should also add the impact of those payout. No? So meron kang price return, meron kang dividend return, and that's your total return. No? Now, to avoid all of these computations, you just want to know the performance. No? You can simply go to the FundSmart platform to check the performance. You can also go to places like the uitf.com.ph to check performance. You can also look at the key information and investment disclosure statements or KIDs of the UITFs. There's also fund performance information there. So you can also compare and look at the performance. I'd like to brag that if you go to uitf.com.ph and then you look at the top performing funds per category, most likely you will see our funds in the top part. So, but that's an easy way for you to do it, for you to find out which are the best performing UITFs as of a certain period.
That's really helpful insight, Sir Zed, especially for people or investors who are looking into the performance stability of the funds, like how well have they been performing in the past 3-year period. And hopefully that can help them as well decide which fund to check or which fund to consider. Now, we're talking about here about the returns and talking about the performance of the funds, but part of these performance of the funds is, of course, there's no free lunch when it comes to things like this, especially we are actually employing here professional fund managers who will be managing the funds of the investors and allocating it them and finding opportunities for them. Of course, it's understandable that there's going to be fees involved in these types of investments. And this can be quite confusing for new investors. So, Sir Zed, can you walk us through the common fees involved when it comes to investing in UITFs and maybe share how does these impact investment returns?
Yeah, so that is correct. Obviously, we have to get paid because we're professionally managing a fund, no, for you. Where that's the service that we're providing. So that fee is called a trust fee or a management fee. Those are the same things, no? And that is the only fee that a UITF will charge. There are no entry fees or sales loads that your customer has to pay. Ibabawas doon sa ininvest niya. Ang may invest lang is yung net of the fee of the sales load. Walang ganon. We don't even have exit fees. So when you withdraw, there's no fees that you're gonna pay. Regardless of when you withdraw, no, at least for MinTC, we don't have kasi a holding period, no, or a minimum holding period. We have removed that. So meaning, even if you invest now, tapos you had an emergency, magre-redeem ka after 1 week, ganyan, walang fees yun, no, because wala kaming minimum holding period. So the only fee that we will have is the management fee or the trust fee, no. So the trust fee or the management fee is already computed on a daily basis and nababawas na siya dun sa NABPO. Meaning, when you want to withdraw now, you just multiply the NABPO by your units kasi yung units, alam mo naman kung ilan yon, no? Yung nabili mo. That's your account value already, no? Your NABPO during the day that redemption was approved. Wala nang ibabawas doon. There will be no taxes or other fees that's going to be deducted. So that's very easy. And management fees are usually pretty reasonable. No? We can't afford to be very, very greedy and have a very high management fee because obviously that will eat into performance, diba? So papangat yung performance pag malaki yung fee. So we don't do that. So our mostly UITF fees are generally very reasonable because we're conscious of our performance and at the same time, we're also conscious of peers, no? So we don't want to be singled out as among the peers kami yung pinaka-expensive ng fees. Ayaw din namin ng ganun. So because of competition and because of the fact that we want to have decent returns for our customers, obviously we cannot be, too greedy in terms of fees. Kaya reasonable naman yung mga fees.
Yeah, and I believe that's really reasonable, Sir Zed, because if I'm not mistaken, in the industry, usually the management fees or the trust fees are really just ranging from 1 or even below 2%. So
Yes.
imagine of course, you're just paying that level of percentage for all the research involved in investing. So it's really a perfect product for people who are really busy or they just want to focus on their business or they just want to focus on building income and they just want professionals to manage when it comes to making their money work for them.
Yeah, so JP, my favorite analogy here is for some people, they will think that I don't want to pay the management fee. Kaya ko naman mag-invest ng sarili ko. Why do I need to pay a management fee for something that I can do? I can buy stocks naman, di ba? And pag-aaralan ko yan. But my analogy here is, for example, you're a doctor or you're a businessman or a lawyer, you're an employee, you're busy. If something happens to the house, like for example, nagkaroon ka ng plumbing need, emergency, you can actually do it if you want to. You can buy your tools, you can buy the equipment, spend half a day repairing your faucet. Pwede mo naman gawin yun, di ba? Hindi naman masama yun, di ba? But if you had paid somebody to do it, like a plumber to do it with a very affordable or reasonable labor, siya na yung magdadala ng equipment. He will have decades of experience to do it quickly, expertly, much better than you will. And you would not have had wasted your time doing that, that time could have been spent with your family, watching Netflix, watching NBA, or whatever it is that is important to you, di ba? So that's my analogy with UITFs and fund management in general. Why not pay that very small amount for something that which could have eaten a lot of your time, your very important time, and something that is going to be done by somebody who has decades of experience, somebody who has done this, for decades, and for somebody who does this, the whole day already, and they will do it for you. That's my analogy there.
That's a really nice analogy, Sir Zed. And that's the reason as well when I have clients who are asking on which is a good investment, one of the first questions that I really ask them is, do they have time to find opportunities in the market? Because we have to understand that there are really people who are really keen on learning about this stuff, who are really, or maybe they are already in the finance field, so they know how to do it on their own. But there are really people who are very busy. They really don't have the time to do this, or they'd rather spend their time at a more an activity wherein they can generate more money, or maybe spend time with their family. So I really think UITFs are good investment vehicles for people who are busy, and of course for beginners who are starting to learn about investing muna, no? So pwede ka naman, no? You can do it on your own, but you have to understand going to be a tuition fee or the losses you're going to take because of your lack of experience. And if you were to ask me, I'd rather pay the 1 to 2% trust fee or management fee than losing a big portion because of my lack of skill and experience, especially if you're just starting out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Amina Rasul, a peace builder from the Philippines.
Salam from Malaysia. I am Dina Zaman from Iman Research.
She Talks Peace provides a platform for women peace builders to talk about their work, the challenges for peace in their countries,
and the reason for their motivations and commitment to women's rights and peace building. We hope that She Talks Peace inspires everyone who listens in.
Join us and listen to stories, struggles, and dreams of women peace builders from all over the world, from the Philippines and Malaysia to Palestine and the United States. Share their dreams, their hopes for a world without violence, and a world where every woman and girl can be whoever she wants to be.
She Talks Peace is available wherever you listen to your podcast. Get to know us and let us get to know you. See you there.
Now, after laying out all those advantages, Sir Zed, and even the risk when it comes to investing in UITFs, let's say one of our listeners today have actually decided to invest in a UITF. Can you recommend some strategies for them?
Yeah, so it's hard to make sweeping general statements on recommendations because people will definitely differ in terms of investment objective, risk appetite, experience, investment horizon, etc., etc. But there are indeed rules that can apply to everyone, and this should be applied by everyone. No? These are your basic rules. No? So number one on my list is always diversification. So this means that you should try to invest not just in one fund, but in many funds. Now, some of our clients are invested in more than 10 funds. No? I would think FMSEC clients are the same. I think I did the study of how many MINTC UITFs that FMSEC customers have invested in per customer, and I think the average is close to 5 per client. No? So they know how to diversify. No? Because of our low minimums, very easy to do. I mean, if you have 5,000, so at the very least, meron ka na kagad 5 funds, no? Kasi 1,000 lang naman yung minimum. So very easy to do. This will add asset classes from different areas. Like what you mentioned earlier, JP, most likely, if you're a Filipino, most likely your investments right now are in Philippine equities or Philippine bonds. And it doesn't make sense for you to invest in a Philippine equity UITF, or mutual fund, because that doesn't add any value in terms of diversification to your portfolio. So why not switch or invest some in global strategies, because that adds more diversification of value to your portfolio. Second on my list is matching your objectives with the fund choice. So for example, if you plan to set aside money for a purpose that is long-term, like for example, retirement in 20 years or 30 years, or the college education of your child, which is 15 years down the road, you wouldn't want to invest that portion of your money in a TD or even a money market UITF, no? Because you would lose the opportunity to potentially earn more from the equities market. Kasi matagal mo pa naman kailangan yung pera, no? And therefore, you can take some risks, no? Because short-term volatility, okay ka lang doon kasi hindi pa naman magka-college yung anak mo, di ba? Conversely, if a portion of your money is set up as an emergency fund or a fund that you will use in the next few months, for example, may pinaplan ka na purchase no in 8 months, ganyan, that portion shouldn't be invested in an equity fund, no? Because, that can hurt you if when the time comes, bagsak yung equities market, no? Remember, equities markets can be volatile. When the time comes that when you need your money, bagsak yung value, medyo masakit yun, no? So, that portion of your money would probably be better placed in a money market fund, no? And then thirdly, I would really recommend cost averaging or the habit of investing frequently, no? So, this is very easy to do, particularly with the FundSmart platform. And this is a proven strategy that works, no? So, I'm sure you've heard about cost averaging so many times. It basically is a disciplined process wherein you can take advantage of the dips in the markets, no, without doing any research, just doing it automatically. So these three strategies for me are strategies that can apply to everyone.
Those are really valuable insights, Sir Zed. And I couldn't agree more, no? Like, for example, diversification. Imagine yourself, no, being able to invest in global assets for as low as 1,000 pesos. So
Yes.
that's really the good thing about UITF, because this enables you to become part of that fund. Which, if you're going to do it on your own, it might take a lot of money if you're going to do it by yourself. But great relief for like global funds of Manulife Investment Management. It enables us to invest in the global scale, even though we only have a small amount of money. And to your second point, Sir Zed, like this is what I've been mentioning about a while ago, really, which is goal-based investing. Because from my interaction with people that consult with me or clients who ask me, sometimes they are just really looking on the returns that they can get. But the challenge there is that you'll be able to get high returns, sometimes in higher risk investments. And sometimes our goals doesn't necessitate us to put it in high risk investment. Let's say your emergency fund. Yung iba kasi, kahit emergency fund nila, nilalagay nila to equities. So, that's not the right match for that specific goal.
Yeah,
because
that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
And probably they just want to earn a lot of money by taking more risk. But they don't realize that they just place themselves in a position wherein they might sell their investments at a loss because they need the money already. So, there's really a financial order of things. So, I hope you'll be able to apply that in your respective investment strategies. Now, Sir Zed, talking about your goal-based investing, some people or many Filipinos actually prioritize regular income. Yung tipong they want a type of investment wherein kahit paunti-unti may pumapasok na pera sa kanila. So, if I can ask Sir Zed, yung mga UITFs pa ni Manulife Investment Management, do they offer options for investors who seek this steady payouts?
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have 5 income-paying strategies. 4 of them pay out income monthly, and then the 5th one pay income semi-annually. So, yes, these are available. You can look at them at FundSmart, do your research, and the most popular one of the 5 is what I mentioned earlier, which is GMADI. The income paid out will be credited to the cash position of the investor, and they can do whatever they want with the income that they receive. No? They can reinvest it, they can spend it, and whatever they do, it's up to them. No? So meron kang flexibility on what you do with the income.
That's really great, Sir Zed, because I believe in the investment fund space, this has been one of the good features of UITFs. I believe UITF started this income-paying types of funds. So especially for people who prefer to receive or probably moderately, those who are balanced or moderately aggressive who would like to receive some level of regular income, this might be a good match for them. So, Sir Zed, maybe you can share quickly to our listeners today, just for them to have a greater appreciation of this income-paying funds from the historical payouts of the funds from MTC. How do they usually range? I mean, in terms of the percentage or
Yeah, it depends. So because those 5 income paying strategies have very different profiles. No? Some will be less aggressive, some will be more aggressive. So it can range from probably 4% per annum to 6% per annum. That will be a range that, and these are net, no, of performance. No? So over a period of 12 months, you're going to get something like that. No? So it depends on the risk that you're taking, because some income paying funds will be riskier than the others. So income pa lang yan na paid out. Hindi ko pa wala pa dyan yung price return na potential. Kasi like I said earlier, there is also potential for capital appreciation. Nandun pa rin yung potential. So, but in terms of income, bring this around that range.
Thank you for sharing that, Sir Zed. And that's really helpful, especially for people some target incomes or target dividend rates or whatnot from their investment. So if that's within your range, then you might consider looking into the income-paying funds of Manulife Investment Management. Now, moving forward, Sir Zed, are there minimum investment amounts to participate in UITFs? So just asking if maybe baka pangmayaman lang to, Sir Zed, or maybe anyone can start it.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's very affordable. So we can group them into two. No? So all of our peso variants, no? If it's in the peso variant that you're getting, whether income paying or non-income paying or money market, whatever, the minimum is 1,000 pesos. So napakamura. No? Pag dollars naman, ang minimum ng mga non-income paying is $100. Also cheap, no? But if you get a dollar variant of income-paying strategy, $1,000. So yun lang kailangan tandaan. 1,000 pesos, $100, and $1,000. Lahat ng pesos, 1,000. Yung dollar, you have to find out whether it's income-paying, 1,000 yun. Non-income paying, 100. So the difference why there's a split in the dollar variant is because medyo malaki kasi yung fees ng remittance fees pagka dollar, no? So naglagay kami ng, kasi nga when we pay out income, it's usually we remit the income, right? So kawawa naman yung customer kung kakainin lang ng incoming remittance charges yung napakaliit niya na income kung masyadong maliit yung income niya. So that's why we put in a higher amount, no, for that. So now if you can't afford the $1,000 minimum requirement for the income-paying strategies, then just buy the income-paying strategy in the peso version. Kasi yun, 1,000 pesos lang din.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. It's very easy. No? All of them are available in the FundSmart platform. So very easy to also start. No? Aside from the low minimum requirements, it's also very easy to do.
Yeah. And looking at those minimums, Sir Zed, it seems like even students these days can affordably invest in these types of funds. And I consider, lalo na if you're just starting out to invest, to our listeners out there, if you're just starting out to invest today, you're in a very good spot, because in the past, when I first asked about how much it would take to invest in funds years ago when I was still in college, the bank told me it's 100,000 pesos, no? And syempre, during that time, I had 100 pesos, pero 100,000. But they've been there's this move in the financial services sector, which we call financial inclusion, wherein as much as possible, we want more people to start considering investing. Especially kahit students pa kayo, that's one of my frustrations in life, because I started investing at a relatively later age, at age 25. So essentially, if you start investing earlier, if napag-aralan nyo, naintindihan nyo, may maabot ang tao who started at age 20 na hindi maabot ng person at age 25 just because he started earlier.
I agree.
Talaga, as in right now, it's very easy, no? So, yung 1,000 pesos, di ba, parang that's less than a cost of a t-shirt, di ba, or something. So, it's really a matter of how you deploy your money. Are you the person who spends it? Are you the person who saves it? Or are you the person who invests it? Now, thank you for that, Sir Zed. Now, ito Sir Zed, napapansin ko in some of my clients, napapansin ko paminsan sa nila sa portfolio when we talk with each other. Paminsan may may excess cash sila sa portfolio nila. What fund do you recommend parking those excess cash for our clients, Sir Zed?
Yeah, that's a very easy question. Pardon the term. It's a no-brainer. If you are, if you have excess cash, you're looking a place to park it in, no? The easy answer is our money market fund, no? So the reason why I said it was a no-brainer is because if you look at the performance of the fund, it's very decent. Like I said, very close to 5% net per annum the past few months. And then what's great about FundSmart is there are charts there, there are information there. So if you look at its chart on the FundSmart platform, you will see how very steady it is. It's almost like a time deposit, meaning there are, I don't think there's even an instance where it dropped in price, no, from day to day. So it's very, very steady. So if you're not using your money anyway, either because you're still afraid of the market or you're waiting for catalysts to come in bago ka take ng risk. So meron kang excess money dyan na tutulog lang, nag-take profit ka siguro last January and then wala ka pang confidence to come back. So nandun lang sa cash mo. So if you're in that type of situation, don't leave it in cash. Put it in money market and napakadali lang din umalis. Like for example, you see the catalyst that you're looking for, it's very easy to get your money and then invest it immediately kasi mapupunta rin kaagad din naman sa cash position mo sa FFSEC, and then you can buy securities again, particularly when you are confident again about the market.
Yeah, that's a really great suggestion, Sir Zed. So maybe for our clients na, for example, naman yung usual position size when you enter certain equities or certain stocks. Let's say that's X amount of pesos, then you'll probably know how many multiples of those position size is yung nasa excess cash mo. Then maybe you can leave siguro 2 to 3 position sizes in your cash. Then the rest, you might as well consider to park them in a low risk na money market fund. Because for me, if you're going to ask me, it's better for your money to earn a bit than nothing at all.
Yes.
And you're not exposing your funds in much risk. You can look at the chart of the money market funds of Manulife, so you get a feel of how the fund prices actually moves. Now, you've been mentioning, Sir Zed, about the status of the market. Let's say if they're not yet confident in the local equities, maybe, Sir Zed, you can share to our clients na merong position sa equity funds, lalo na yung merong equity funds ni Manulife Investment Management. What do you recommend to them considering the current market condition?
Yeah, my recommendation is looking at global strategies, given that global diversification is very important, particularly right now. No, you don't want to be invested in just one country at the moment with this high inflation, high interest rate environment, particularly when there's still uncertainty when the US Fed will cut rates. No, so we're hoping it's third quarter or early fourth quarter, but there is still uncertainty because inflation is sticky or stickier than expected. No? So a globally diversified fund can really help you in that manner because that will mean it will protect you from volatility that can happen because of this high interest rate environment. So we do have a lot of these funds or global equity funds. So they're all available in peso and dollar variants, no? So whether you're a peso investor or whether you have dollars, we can invest with them. No? So global technology, I mentioned already earlier, we have a fund called Global Dynamic Leaders. We have a fund called Global Thematic Opportunities. We have a fund called Global Clean Energy. So for those that are conscious about investing in ESG funds, this is an Article 9 fund. If you want to know what that means in the EU standards, this is a truly ESG fund. And then global healthcare. So very resilient sector. Healthcare is something that is, will always be important and will be resilient. Even if there's high inflation, people will still need to buy their medicines, right? So this is one of our more resilient funds as well. So all of them have been giving decent returns to our investors despite of the volatility in 2022 and 2023. So that is, a testament to the power of having a globally diversified portfolio.
All right, that's really nice tip or nice recommendation from you, Sir Zed. Now, we've been talking about here more about general stuff. Now, as we close this session, Sir Zed, maybe we can get a little bit personal. No? So,
Sure.
kayo, Sir Zed, do you have any personal investments in UITFs or any form of collective investment schemes? And if yes, maybe you can share to our listeners what factors influence your decision.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've always been aggressive ever since, I started in investing, no? I truly believe that long-term investing is very important. So, I can afford to be aggressive. However, as I become older, I'm not young anymore, I can't afford to be very, very aggressive. No? So I do have everything. No? So I do have a low vol fund. I do have an income paying fund as well. And but I do have a lot of capital appreciation funds. So these funds I think I have more than 10 funds. No? So the combination of them, I like what they do to my portfolio. They will do very different things to my portfolio. One will be very low volatility, will give me a decent return, not very high, while the other one will give me the spectacular returns, no, but very volatile siya, ganyan. So basically, just look for globally diversified equity funds as a start, and then just add income in the money market. That's my strategy because of my aggressive nature plus my age, no. So kaya yun yung naging strategy ko. So, but again, it depends from person to person. You might want to copy my strategy. Some people who are younger probably will decide to put less in the low vol category. It's up to you. But for me, that's my decision, and that's how I am investing right now.
That's very generous of you, Sir Zed, to share your personal investments and how you actually strategize your investments on a personal level. And this podcast has been incredibly informative. Maybe you can share some words of advice to our listeners who are considering investing in UITFs, especially in Manulife Investment Management.
Sure. I'd like everyone to take advantage of funds. They can really be an important part of your investment journey, helping you achieve your goals. Funds offer you professional management. They are very affordable. They offer you flexibility with various options. They offer you liquidity, meaning you can get out if you need the money very easily. They are highly regulated for your protection, and they are very easy to access via digital or online platforms like FundSmart.
Perfect, Sir Zed. And now as we close our podcast, maybe you can share one key takeaway that you'd like our Filipino audience to remember about UITFs and its potential for wealth creation.
Yeah, just take advantage of this great investment tool, the multitude of benefits I mentioned earlier. And by taking advantage of these benefits, you can build a well-rounded investment portfolio that aligns with your financial goals. I encourage everyone to explore the various fund options out there and consider how they can help you achieve your investment objectives. Happy investing, everyone.
And with that, Sir Zed, that's all for today, folks. Thank you for joining us on this learning journey. We hope you'll stick around for our upcoming podcast episodes and maybe even join us for our webinars or events. Stay tuned, stay safe, and happy investing, everyone. Here at First Metro Securities, it's #YourFutureFirst.
Thanks for listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly podcast. Don't forget to follow us to get first dibs on our new episodes. For more up-to-date market news and info, exclusive content, and the opportunity to connect with your fellow Filipino investors and traders, join facebook.com/groups/FirstMetroSec and be part of the First MetroSec family.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.